crafty friends, it's Jess from jesscrafts.com, and today I'm here to share a clean and simple Christmas card featuring Gerda Steiner Designs clear stamps. I have the Deck the Halls stamp set, which includes as a main image this cat all tangled up in the lights and playing with Christmas ornaments. Anybody who has a cat is familiar with this scene, as they are often playing in the Christmas lights and trying to attack or climb the tree. And so I'm going to make this image the main focal point of my card today. And I actually was accidentally sent another copy of this stamp set, and I will be giving it away in a future video. So if you like this stamp set, keep your eye out for that. But also, if you have a great idea for using it, I encourage you to go check it out on Gerda's website. So I stamped the image down, but I did want to sort of finish up because the lights sort of just trail off, but in this clean and simple scene, I wanted to just sort of finish them. And so I took the little tiny light stamp from the set and stamped it on the end of the light string on one side, and on the other side, I just continued the light string by using a Copic-friendly marker. In this case, an actual Copic multiliner or a Memento pen would work out well. So I've put that to the side. I'm going to color it later. I've used the My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink, so it's Copic friendly. And now I want a sentiment banner. I'm going to create a red strip of cardstock by taking my ombre ink and just wiping one of the colors across a piece of cardstock to turn it the custom color that I want, so that it will coordinate with anything else I stamp in this stamp set. I like the ombre inks because they provide you 3 colors in one ink pad, and you can use them separately or together in their traditional ombre way, and so I feel like I get a lot more options in the same amount of space. So rather than having to store 3 different ink pads, I just store 1 ink pad and get more options, plus I get that fun ombre look. I'm going to use the green ombre ink to create a little pattern of stars around him. That little tiny star is also in the stamp set. I like the way that Gerda includes some smaller stamps in the set as well to help set the scene. And I want to create an ombre effect, but I only stamp one color at a time, so I'm starting with the lightest, moving on to the medium shade, and then finally the darker shade. I generally find that it's easier to start with the lighter and move, because then you don't have to worry about any sort of contamination of the darker color as you move through your ink pad. And also, with these, if you do switch between colors, be sure to wipe it off on a scrap piece of paper first. I'm just using the other end of that paper strip that I did not color. And you will want to make sure that you're not confusing which is the darker and lighter side of the pad, as sometimes a lighter color, it might not be really obvious just looking at the pad, that sometimes the lighter color appears darker on the pad or the darker color appears lighter. So if you're unsure, just stamp a test one out before bringing it right to your project. I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about the Copic coloring of the cat, but I won't be doing all the coloring on camera. With the cat, I decided to color it gray to keep it neutral. I really want to focus on these 2 Christmas colors, the red and green, and so I don't want the cat to have too much color himself, so I went with the more neutral gray. You could also go with the brown, but I personally just have a preference for gray kitties. My kitty is gray, and most of the cats that I've owned in my life are gray, so it's just kind of a personal preference of mine. But as you know, I do prefer to color nude and orange sometimes. So here I am adding a little bit of shading right on that line that was created on the face. Sometimes the artist of a stamp will give you clues about where the shadow should go. So if they create a fold in the animal's skin or fur, that's where you should put a shadow generally, as that is a part that they were trying to emphasize with the lines, and you can again emphasize with your coloring. You also can just generally add shadows, drop shadows, as I always mention, but also here, because I had that shadow along the middle of his face, I wanted the face to appear rounded, so I made sure to add a shadow to the top. And by having a shadow on the top and in the middle, it makes the area between his nose and his head look rounded and give him a sense of dimension. I'm going to continue this shading. I'm using the W's, as I've mentioned many times in the past. The W's are my preferred for animal coloring, as they do lend a sense of warmth to the animals. and that's a little bit more realistic. If I look at pictures of cats, I tend to see like a brownish gray as opposed to a bluish gray that you would get if you use the cool gray colors. I'm using W1, 3, and 5. I find that if you go farther into like the 7 or 9 in the W's, that it looks more black than gray. Once I had the main image laid out, I knew that I was going to put a sentiment strip across it, but I wanted to add just a touch of detail, so I rounded the corners there with a simple corner rounding punch. And I'm not even going to add a cardstock layer under this. I'm going to keep it the white on white to keep that sort of crisp Christmas image or Christmas look. And I am stamping the very punny Meowie Christmas. That is one of my sister's favorite sentiments, and so this might wind up going to her, maybe not. Other cat lovers in my life might appreciate it too, but she always finds that one funny, and I'm really happy that Gerda thought to include the Meowie and the Merry, so whichever one you like you can use. I'm adding a little bit more detail to this clean and simple card by putting glossy accents over the Christmas lights and glitter over the Christmas balls. It gives it a more realistic effect, and it adds more dimension to the scene. So while everything is relatively flat around the cat, as there's just a lot of white space and the flat stars, by adding those details in the shading and in the glossy accents, it really helps the cat be the focus. I wanted to add just a touch more green to the card and tie it into that heavy red area with the sentiment and fill in the rest of that sentiment strip. So I'm just taking some gems and I'm making them a little bit darker by coloring them with some dark green Copic markers so they coordinate a little bit better with the colors that I used. And I'll lay a whole little row of them between the Meowie Christmas and the edge of the card. And that's going to be it for my card today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're interested in more crafting tutorials, including Christmas cards or more stamps from Gerda Steiner Designs, please subscribe to my channel. I'll in fact leave you some other Christmas videos in the description below so you can check out more Christmas tutorials. Thanks for watching. Bye.